All right, boys, Path of Exile 2. We got some big old patch notes. My buddy that plays sent me thing, and it looks like they nerfed my build here. So let's read them. Path of Exile 2 has been live for just over a week. We've addressed some feedback, working on more fixes. I gotta say, they've been really good with the whole launch and how quickly they got things fixed. And I know, like, the whole cast on shock and cast on freeze, a lot of people are mad about that. They nerfed that shit into the ground. But like we mentioned last week, we'll be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints within an area. Okay, that's cool. As well as adding many more checkpoints to areas, generally at all entrances and exits to areas, meaning if you find these first, you'll be able to instantly travel to them to continue exploring. Well, this is good because, like, if I just get bored one day and want to go, like, fight the final boss again, I won't have to walk through the whole area. I can just teleport to the checkpoint. I mean, that's cool. Trial of the Segments. I'm curious, very curious about this. I tried the 3 in a row to get my 5th, 5th, and 6th ascendancy point, and once I beat 1 and 2 fine. Once I got to the 3rd one, like, enemies were insanely harder. Like, there was no chance. Like, I would take 1 hit, it was like 500-600 honor. 2 hits, I was dead. There's no way I could complete the whole floor. It's just not possible. Sure, like, yeah, I got some relics and I could have more honor resistance and stuff, but that shit was brutal. And I get that's probably the intent is to go in there, farm, use the keys to open up, like, the relic boxes and put as many relics on as you can. But that jump, like, 1 and 2 breeze, 3 dead, like that. It shouldn't be like that. All right, so let's see. Oh, we'll also be making passive point respecking cheaper, especially at higher levels. It had a relatively aggressive curve, getting more expensive with character level. We have flattened that curve so it doesn't exponentially grow as much. It should generally result in approximately 40 to 50% less gold cost for respecking. Okay. I mean, I haven't really had an issue. Like, within like 2 hours, I didn't even notice I had 300,000 gold. So respecking a few points at like 5,000 gold a pop wasn't a huge deal, but I know they bricked a lot of builds, and a lot of people either had to start a new character or didn't have enough gold to re-roll their whole tree. You know, you figure at almost 100,000, you have 100 points, 5,000 a pop, that's 500,000 gold. So yeah, let's see here. Players were finding Trial of the Segments particularly frustrating at close range. Oh yeah, it's a nightmare for melee. So we've reworked how honor damage scales when in close range, as well as fixing an important bug that was causing players to take far too much honor damage from damage over time. That's probably what killed me, honestly. Honor damage now scales down based on distance to enemies. When in close range, you'll take 35% less honor damage, tapering off as you are further away from monsters. So that means me as range, I just take full damage all the time. Well, that kind of sucks. Fixed a bug where damage over time was dealing thrice as much damage to honor as intended. Holy shit. Okay, there you go. That's why I haven't been able to beat it. And fix a bug where honor resistance was only applying to 2/3 of that damage. This was confusing for us too. Okay, so yeah, it definitely was broken. Skitter golems no longer use basic attacks, instead now just explode. Serpent clans burrow and ambush attack now has improved visual telegraphing, can be used from as far away. Okay, volcanoes created by rattle cage fisher slam now last half the duration. Nice, because they just shat there and they shat their jizz everywhere. Yeah, sat there. Whatever. Endgame and Monster Bounce, which I'm tier 5 maps, and I have some gripes with the endgame. It's like things just one-shot me out of nowhere, and I've seen a lot of people complain about that. And it's like a get good situation, but I spent time getting all my resistances to my cold is capped at 75, but it's like 93. Fire is like 69, and lightning is 67%. And my chaos with a charm is like 38%. So it's not like I don't have resistance. It's just like, and like I can do breaches, no problem, right? It's tough, but breaches are fun. It's the ritual sites when it gets dark and you're in the circle and those tornadoes spawn and then the blood's coming at you and the enemies spawn and just box you in. You can't move. It's instant death. Like, I don't even do rituals at the moment just because, like, 1 out of 5 I beat, and I'm just losing XP and getting frustrated, and XP is a grind late game. So let's see what they say here. Generally the bounce and endgame maps was more punishing than intended, so we've toned down the damage in a number of ways and disabled a certain on-death effect where the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. Maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties inherently applied to tier 6 and tier 11 or higher maps. It is now consistent across all of the endgame. Okay, that's good. I have ran some 6 and 7s. Chaos damage now also scales less aggressively over the endgame. Good. Critical strikes from monsters now deal 40% less bonus damage. Good. Lowered the baseline monster density of breach encounters, primarily by reducing the frequency of the elite monsters appearing. I like how crazy breach was, but it is wild. It's absolutely wild. Disabled the volatile crystals modifier. We'll revisit this in the future pending telegraphing improvements. Purple explosives created by the volatile plants modifier on rare monsters now deal significantly less damage. Those things were those little purple orbs that follow you. Those fucked me up so hard. The siphons flash charges modifier on monsters now drains 10 times less flash charges per second. This was unintentionally draining way too many charges. These changes should generally result in an endgame that is much more survivable than before, and will continue to adjust. Okay, good. I don't know when this goes into effect. Let me look. It just says upcoming. Maybe it says in this article somewhere. All right, character and item balance. We've made charm modifiers on belts substantially more common and now appear at much lower levels. Yeah, because I'm at over 100 hours. I've yet to see a 2 or 3 slot belt for charms. Just it's not a thing. The of symbolism modifier now appears from level 23 onwards, and the of inscription modifier now appears from level 64 onwards. Electric, oh boy, here we go. I use electrocute. That's like my bread and butter. I electrocute and I shock and electrocute, and shock is easier to get. Electrocute is harder. There's the thing. Electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gem. Okay, so I have to look. I have to go in and look, which we're in the game right now. Maybe it's this one right here. Let me move my camera. You have electrocute. Lightning damage from supported skills contributes to electrocution buildup. Supported skills deal 40% less damage, which I haven't been using this gem on my build because 40% less damage is wild. I mean, even with having, you know, a full 6 link or a 5 link, whatever you want to call it, since it's you have the skill and then you have it's technically a 6 link. I'm like 40% less damage is wild. But yeah, I could build electrocution, but I still would need my little burst to cause shock and electrocution. I can't just have no damage come from it. So maybe that's what's getting fixed here. Yeah, electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage has been more challenging. I'm assuming that's what it was. Adding a new lightning damage and electrocute cluster to the passive tree in between the ranger and monk sections. Now, I have to see where it is and if it's possible to go there and if it's good enough. But new lightning damage and electrocute cluster, it's probably just like the ones that are down with the merc, so it's probably not gonna be anything crazy, but we're still checking it out. It is now more difficult to chain freeze enemies by reducing the amount of freeze buildup applied after a freeze has been applied. They're really been nerfing freeze a lot. The Hunter's Talisman notable now grants +1 charm slot. The small passive skills leading up to it now grant the stat it formerly gave. The charm helper text has been updated to indicate that you cannot have more than 3 charm slots unlocked, so that we can add more sources of it in the future. All right, skill and support gem balance. Since launch, we've unfortunately had to nerf a few skills that were far too overpowered. How do we define overpowered? Basically, it's a situation in which a certain skill is so powerful that players feel no other method of playing the game is viable. Generally speaking, we are trying to do this in a way that doesn't make a build bad, but we can make mistakes. Ideally, any truly meta shifting changes will only happen at the same time as a content patch with a new league to play in. But that doesn't mean we haven't been looking at underpowered skills and support gems. We've got a number of changes planned which should improve some of these skills. The full list of changes will be in the patch notes, but here's a sample of what you can expect. Improvements to rolling, slam, and all shield skills in the mace section. Improvements to various bow skills, especially skills used to generate frenzy charges. Improvements to bone spells and chaos damage over time spells in the occult. Improvements to various crossbow skills, especially those at higher tiers. Okay, we'll have to see what happens with this, but we're a crossbow merc, so that could be good. Any improvement's good. If you're gonna nerf my electrocute by 25%, I'll take some nerfs or some buffs. Excuse me. Nerf, buff, nerf. Words are hard, man. What do you want from me? Excuse me? Improvements to some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. So I'm assuming they're just going to buff the damage at higher tiers for me. Alongside all of these skill gem improvements, we've also done a pass over the support gems. We've added 2 new supports and removed or lessened the penalties on many others, notably the fire, lightning, and cold exposure supports. Added the tremor support gem, which could be used to give up to multiple more aftershocks to skills with the damage penalty. Okay, so that would be good for probably warrior builds or something. Added the bidding support gem, which can be used to give more damage to the command skills of supported minions. Okay, minions get a fucking buff. The fire exposure, lightning exposure, and cold exposure support gems no longer penalize damage to supported skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier of 120%. Okay, so we got lightning exposure here. Supported skills inflict lightning exposure for 8 seconds on shocking an enemy. Supported skills deal 25% less damage. Is that the one that they're gonna they said electrocute? Yeah, so that was the one I was thinking. Yeah, electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but I mean 40% less damage is yeah, because now I'll put that on my galvanic shards 100%. Yeah, okay, I'll have to make a note of that. There are also some notable nerfs to a few of the remaining overachieving skills. Skeletal Arsonist Spirit costs now match the other 2 skeleton mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of arsonists at a higher level. A nerf to the damage over time component on very high levels of Tornado and Vine Arrow. These were never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so act as a way for other skills to propagate damage. Magnetic Salvo can now only use your stuck lightning arrow as opposed to those created by your party members. Okay. As we wind down for the holiday season, we wanted to thank you all for our most successful launch so far. Their numbers are still crazy. They're still getting like over 400,000 a day on PC alone, which is great. I'm enjoying the game. I mean, I know a lot of people have some gripes, but I mean, it's early access. They've been very good with changing stuff and fixing stuff. And, you know, we know they're going to nerf a bunch of shit, but, you know, this isn't all nerfs here. We got some buffs, so it is what it is. We could not have done it without all of your support. A lot of our team will begin to take some much needed rest over the next few weeks. But we look forward to getting back in the new year refreshed and ready for an exciting year of development in 2025. Happy holidays, Exiles. There you go, boys. So we'll be live tonight working on tier 5 plus maps and I guess preparing for these changes. And yeah, man, there you go. Patch notes. Check out our railgun build if you haven't. Still trying to perfect it. Still need like 15 more levels before I could probably get it to where exactly I want it. But you know the drill. Subscribe, come back. See you on the next one.